everybody. Can you hear me? All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about what RadioShack chose to do with the Super Bowl. I'm going to take you behind the scenes at the commercial, but I'm also going to take you behind the scenes at the decision process for us. And I think for all of you that are marketers in the room and agencies will probably be floored at the timeline and the stakes kind of that we were working with as a brand. To begin with, though, we have a brand new leadership team at RadioShack that's in place to turn around this business, and they're kind of looking at all of the ways in which we can make this brand, this 90-year-old brand, relevant today in the future and make it a 150-year-old brand that we'll all grow and love. And so from that, I think the process began with who's our customer, where is RadioShack today, and what do consumers see from us? And we did a significant focus panel and group and study. And what we learned was that RadioShack was definitely a brand that people knew, but they didn't know what it was, if that makes sense. And what we heard from the study was that RadioShack is stuck in the 80s. And what you'll find, it was again and again and again. They didn't know that we carried Apple product and Samsung product and Beats and any kind of brand in the consumer electronics space that you would look for is at RadioShack. What they thought is we had cables and batteries. And so with that insight, this creative platform was developed. And so let me show you a video of behind the scenes at the commercial, and then I'll talk a little bit about it from there.
Audio Jungle.
This debut spot is about really showing people that we're shedding the old and getting into the new. And the new for us is leveraging the strength of our associates to tell customers we're here to do it together.
It's been tricky getting ready for the shoot because there have been so many moving parts and so many possible configurations of celebrities.
It's so much fun. This is such a hoot.
I like having Alf show up in places you don't expect him to show up.
I saw Alf and he made my day. I almost wanted to punch Sergeant Slaughter though. A couple times he was getting ready to put the Cobra clutch on me.
The first couple of takes with the DeLorean, I didn't realize Alf was in the car.
It was perfect for the character.
With Alf in the DeLorean, how can it not be a hit?
History has been made here, right here today.
It's kind of really cool. It's nice. It's nice. Like, oh my God, the Hulk is right here. Just everybody. Twisted Sister. So I'm kind of honored. Hey, baby, I just got video bombed.
Audio Jungle.
Mary Lou was, when she was going for the gold, Twisted Sister was going for the gold. I was telling her we had our first gold album presented on ribbons around our necks on stage, because that was 1984, that was the year, you know.
I've never ran away from the idea of ever kind of spoofing myself. I always jump at the opportunity to do this and to pretty much make fun of myself.
This is the one time of year where you can really reach 150 million people and tell them that there's something new going on at RadioShack.
Super Bowl is just such a big event, and we always watch for the commercials. We always, see who we liked and who we didn't like. So a lot of times the commercials isn't better than the game.
We really want to disrupt the marketplace, hit our negative perception on the head, and tell people we are not the RadioShack that you believe we are.
I thought that was incredibly smart to sort of say, you know what, our old stores are not doing it. We're doing something different now.
I think it's cool that RadioShack is reinventing themselves, and they've gone from being the RadioShack of the 80s. Now they're the leader in high tech.
Well, the cool thing is seeing the new store, because we got to go into the new store yesterday, and just all the new stuff. Everything's like just bright and shiny and really pristine. I also like the outfit that I get to wear now.
I like the open floor plan and the fact that it's brighter. You could see all the products.
It's our generation really that started shopping at RadioShack, and we all have to kind of like get with the times and move forward. I think this is a brilliant campaign.
It's going to count for a lot with people when you own up to something.
It's just been the craziest thing and a lot of fun to see all these different characters working together. And a lot of them are huge fans of RadioShack, so that's been fun to see too.
Truthfully, prefer going to RadioShack because it's one of the few places left where the people actually know what they're talking about.
I went there, I had to get some headphones. I lost earphones from my phone. So I just walked around the corner. I said, RadioShack.
And they hooked you up?
And they was like,
You know, when you got to get that electronic stuff that nobody else seems to have, you go to RadioShack.
RadioShack, I love you guys, baby.
Audio
So to then go behind the scenes on the decision, how many of you work kind of in and around retail? Okay. How many of you have been through a marketing restructure inside your brand or inside the company? How many have been through an agency transition? How many of you have done it all in the exact same month? My RadioShack team, that's exactly what we did. We transitioned our media agency, our creative agency, our performance metrics agency. We restructured the entire department under new leadership all during Q4. And in that process, this is my professional micro adventure, I believe, we made a decision around a boardroom on November of 2013 to be in the Super Bowl. And that decision was at a concept phase only. And the concept was, let's get all of these great 80s characters, try to pull it together, have a shoot, and be on TV on February 2nd. The other piece that we did as a brand, and very controversial inside the company, I would say, we made a decision to be quiet about it. And I think as marketers, we always struggle with kind of big events, pre, during event, and post, and making sure to capture everything you can from impressions. We actually made a decision to be quiet. One of the reasons is because we felt so strong about the creative and that it would connect so well with the consumers that we felt like we wanted to be that moment of like, what was that? And oh my gosh, that was RadioShack. Because we had one spot in the Super Bowl. We didn't even know the placement of that spot. We knew that it was sometime in the first half, maybe. And so here we were, sometime in the first half, maybe, trying to get a concept together, trying to launch an integrated campaign. And it required a lot of pre-planning, and we did a great job as a team, I think. It really brought us together to really think through all the scenarios. And we lit up digital when that commercial aired. So the moment the commercial aired, everything went up, because we just didn't want to leak it. And so it was definitely, a leadership-led decision and elevated up to the top of the chain through the board to say, okay, are we going to do this, are we not? This is what we want to get accomplished.
RadioShack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called. They want their store back.
It's time for a new RadioShack. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
You're too late.
Oh. You want a piece of my heart?
So, so that was our extended version online, so kind of the long form version. And for us, it was very important for us to be ready. And I actually have to thank the iProspect team. I think we had tireless nights making sure that all the terms are right, because we didn't know from that commercial what people would remember. We didn't know if they'd remember RadioShack or Hulk Hogan or Mary Lou Retton or whatever. So what term was going to be there, and working through all of that to make sure that whatever it was they remembered, it brought us back into the conversation. And so thank you for your partnership. From the team perspective. And then moving, the purpose of that in our brand strategy was to make a statement. And there was a lot of consternation, because if you walk into your RadioShack, it likely doesn't look like that today. We are rolling out the plan, and it was very difficult to say, okay, what commitment are we making to consumers? We did make a decision that we still were going to say we're changing, and hopefully we've got kind of another campaign that we're in the works that'll kind of bring this home a little bit that you'll see soon. But what we've done between now and then was leverage our service. Radio Shack is known for its service. If you guys go in there, hopefully you've had good experiences. But bridging between what our core looks for Radio Shack to deliver, which is kind of historical DIY and technical parts and pieces, but leveraging that beyond of where all of us are today, where we look for technology, we look for resources to help us, to have us do it together. And what we mean by that is really, with Radio Shack being an ingredient in online resources, building out a campaign. We launched a campaign, and one of the premises of the campaign is that it can't stop at a TV commercial. It has to be what we're saying on TV extends all the way through. So if I see this commercial, which I'll show you, if you go online, you're able to see how I make this happen. So there's instructions, and there's parts lists, and there's education on how to make it work. And so we're really trying to refine that and hone that. There's definitely some challenges in doing so, but it's been very interesting for us because it's an ownable place for our brand, we hope, and we hope that it'll, drive results.
How can I help you? So I have this idea. Is there a way to turn on electronics from my recliner? You could even add your sprinkler system. My wife is gonna love this. Let me show you how it works.
DIY has evolved. Welcome to DIT. Come see what's possible when we do things together.
So really for us, that's kind of where Radio Shack is right now, and we're trying to do our best to integrate fully and be able to bring about to consumers the change that we need to bring to the organization and then deliver it in marketing. And I think, as marketers, it's, sometimes you want the organization to move a little faster than they can. And I think that's been a marketer's challenge right now, is to say, well, can we say this? Well, not quite. Can we say this? No, not quite. But we're getting there, and we're able to hopefully really say some strong messages here shortly. So that was kind of my overhaul on today. Does anybody have any questions? Sure. So for those of you that weren't, his question was around the social campaign. And what we did actually was we did an 80s memorabilia contest. And as part of that extension, consumers could enter to win 80s memorabilia. It did definitely lift engagement. I unfortunately didn't bring the metrics, I should have, but it was better than expected from an internal perspective, which is always, great to hear. And I think the piece that we could have done a better job of is followed the winners and done a better job of keeping that content live. So if you had won, I don't know if you won, but if you had won, being able to really promote that. You always, unfortunately, look back and say, oh, I could have done, or at least that's my personality. And I think that's the piece that, for lessons learned, we could have done a better job of, because there was definitely engagement on that 80s contest. But there was also contests, the contest whores or whatever, those folks were there too. So it was kind of hard to figure out like who was engaging with your brand versus who just wanted free stuff. So, yes.
I agree Radio Shack had kind of an identity crisis. It really had been, actually there were several reincarnations as I remember.
I've lived through all of them. I'm a little schizophrenic, but I'm
What's your plan go forward? I mean, how are you, going to build on the new Radio Shack?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think we're making decisions daily on that. I think, and I believe where we're headed is definitely around the service platform of our business and remaining product relevant, and being able to kind of own the space we're in. In fact, the sound guy in the back has this drone product that he built with the GoPro webcam, and I was sitting there talking to him on it in his commercial. That's the kind of stuff, is finding the ownable position for Radio Shack. We should carry drones, right? And no other brand is going to own creating your own drone with the webcam. But there's a huge market for it in a piece. So I think we're trying to find the white space opportunity in product and service that we can deliver to customers. It's a good question. But definitely the Shack is gone, and all those iterations and all the stuff that we've done. So, does anybody have any other questions? Lisa.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how the different talent within the commercial interacted
Yes.
socially on Twitter, and also some of the notoriety of Ad Age and that
that's
sort of thing?
a good point. Thanks for reminding me. That was actually a really interesting piece of the puzzle. The talent coming into the spot, I mean, like I mentioned, on November, it was 80s icons, not knowing who they were going to be, and we had a set budget that we had to keep to. And for about a week or so, my inbox was, Hulk Hogan's in, Cyndi Lauper's out. It was just who was in, who was out. And then, the team did a really good job making sure that all kind of genre was represented, and even the hidden secret ones, like who was Teen Wolf, that kind of thing. And we then, in negotiations, made sure that the talent that were in place embraced what they were doing and engaged socially and connected back with the brand so that their followers, Hulk Hogan has like 44 million or something. And so in making sure that they engaged as well so that Hulk Hogan fans would connect with the brand. So it was really good. And then, what was the other question? I'm sorry, what was the other second part you said?
And then the notoriety.
Oh, yeah. And then afterwards, I don't know, Super Bowl, the Monday after Super Bowl is your worst critic day of being on the Super Bowl. And we got quite a bit of recognition on Ad Age and other key properties just saying that RadioShack killed it. And that's that's garnered a ton of impressions. It's done some great things for us to be able just to make some strides. It's done some great things with our vendor relationships that we didn't know, because they're kind of like, wow, look what RadioShack did. Look what you could do with me. So it's changed some conversations in the landscape that's really helped us, I think. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yes, back.
This is really interesting. So I'll ask just one question.
Yes.
So when you talked about an area where you thought was ownable for RadioShack, I think a lot of our clients are still trying to navigate their way through what is something that they have the right to own. Can you sort of give us maybe some of the options that you were considering and what sort of led to your, final decision to go with that
DIT. There's Amy Shineman's point of view on things, and I always look at things so when you go to the tactic on it, can you insert another brand and kind of look at it and go, oh, they could do that too, or, oh, it's not unique. We did a lot of that, and we said, okay, if it's do it together, who really could do that? And you could probably pick up some brands that are outside of retail that might make sense, but in terms of our landscape where we felt like we could potentially own. And then I think the other piece was consumer data. We did a deep dive in consumer focus groups to understand RadioShack. And the great thing about this brand and what I love about it is when you actually talk to consumers that either have a historical passion about it or have a continued passion about it, they're truly passionate. They love this thing, and they want us to succeed almost more than some people inside the company do. And it's kind of crazy when you actually talk to the passion lovers of your brand, because you learn so much. And we actually started there and spent a lot of time there and got the executive leadership with that audience as well. And I think that's made the world a difference. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, thanks so much.